Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today let's go over a premium medium database question that I just solved on my own. So I'm super happy about this and I'm extremely glad that I was able to come up with my own solution to this question without any assistance. So let us go over it and let me show you how I did it. This question is number 3278, find candidates for data scientist position 2. So there's a lot of requirements in this question, so let's go through it one by one. Basically, first of all, we're trying to find for each project the best candidate based on their overall score. So first of all, each candidate, to even be considered, they must have all the skills required for a project. So let's go ahead and get all the required skills for each project with the project ID as a key to a dictionary and all the skills as the values in the form of a set, so we can compare them later, and we'll do the same for each candidate. So let's call this required default dictive type set for IP and enumerate projects project ID. That's going to be the key. So required of P dot add the skill. Okay. All right. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and do the same for each candidate to make sure they're even valid. So let's call this candidates. And for I, see and enumerate candidates ID. So candidates of the candidate ID as the key dot add the skill of the candidate, skill of I. So for this candidate, it would be this cell, for example. Cool. So now for each project ID, let's go ahead and see if there are even possibles. Let's call this running, or just possible default dict of type set. Cool. So now we're looking for if they even have all the required skills for the project. So okay, so let's call this the target is just going to be all the skills. So it's just going to be required of R. Let's go ahead and say for C and candidates. So first of all, if the target is a subset of this, then that particular candidate has all the skills. So if target dot is subset of candidates of C, then we can just say possible of R dot add the candidate ID. Let's print possible to C. Okay, so let's run this. Let's go ahead and return result. Let's just do a dummy data frame for now. Okay, cool. So you can see that lines up pretty well. No, it does not. Let's see. So for each project, we're gonna need those skills. And if this candidate, so let's print R and target. Okay, so cool. So let's say if candidates of C is bigger than or equal to target, maybe we can do it this way. We just want to see if everything is included. Seems like we can't. Okay, so let's go ahead and print C candidates of C. I misspelled this. That's the problem. Okay, so now we can do the. So can't overlap with the variable they have. Okay, so if target dot is subset of candidate of C, then we can go ahead and say possible of r.add c. Okay, so that should look better. Cool. So we have this many candidates for each, and this we have nothing. Cool. So now comes the hard part, the heavy lifting, because we have to figure out the score. Okay, so what we're gonna do is for each project, we're gonna map the candidate ID and skill to the proficiency for each candidate, and for the project, each project ID and skill to its importance, and we're gonna compare, for example, 501 Python with 101 Python, the proficiency and the importance, to know to add or subtract. So now let's call this candidate proficiency, and then also project importance is equal to default dict of make type integer because we just want the digit. And then we can just say project importance of this particular project ID. So we need the project ID and the skill because it's going to be a composite key because we want to match the skill with the candidate and the project. And that's just going to be project's importance of I. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with C prof, candidate proficiency of C, so the ID and then the skill. And we're just going to also set that to proficiency candidates, proficiency of I. Proficiency. Okay, so, all right. So now that we have possible, let's go for P in possible. Let's print P, possible P. Okay, so for each of these candidates, let's go ahead and start the score with 100. So let's say for candidate and possible P, let's make a current temporary dictionary. Temp of candidate equals to 100. And then now we have to compare each of these. So proficiency and importance. So we have to first look at all the skills we need, which is just going to be all the skills from the project. So required of P, let's print skills. Okay, so those are the ones we're evaluating, and then we can just say, so for each candidate for each skill, so for skill and skills, so proficiency and importance, so if C prof of, let's say, the candidate ID, right, because that's the ID, and then also the skill is bigger than project importance of P, because that's a project ID, and then the skill is the same. In that case, then we would just, for this candidate's TMP of candidates plus equals to 10. Otherwise, if it's less, if C prof canned skill is less than project importance P skill, then we can just decrement it by 5, as it says right here. And then if they're equal, we don't touch them, so that's good. And then let's just go ahead and print P and also TMP to see if we have our answer. Okay, so awesome. So you can see that for the highest score, we want to pick the lowest number. They're all 105, so 101's lower than 102 and 103. And then here we only have one option. So now we can just say the biggest is max of tmp.values for T and TMP. If the current value is equal to the biggest, then add the key. You can just say options.append T, and then at the end, options.sorts let's print P options and biggest, because that's going to give us the score, the biggest score we want, the candidate ID if we have one, and the project ID. So at this point, we should have our answer. Awesome. So it's just going to be option 0, index 0's value. And let's make an answer list. So answer.append the project ID, the 500 number, and then options of 0, the smallest with the biggest score of all the candidates that are working on that project. And then now let's go ahead and create 1, 2, 3 columns. We basically have our answer. For A and answer, 1.append A0, 2.append A1, 3.append A2, but I just forgot, last but not least, we have to sort this in ascending order. So answer.sort key equals to lambda x of 0. So project ID in ascending order. Okay, cool. So awesome. So now it seems like we have everything. We just have to project ID is equal to 1, candidate ID to 2, score to 3, and then we should just be able to return it. Okay, so let's run this and submit it. And there you go, passes all test cases. So again, I'm super happy that I was able to come up with my own solution to this problem without any help and solve it completely on my own. So that's it for this video, and thank you for watching.